and as Brodie Kostecki, your 2024 Top 10 Shootout winner. So kicking it off this morning, the big news was that DJR and Team 18 got the cars fixed overnight. Everybody looking great this morning, ready to go. Some of the poor mechanics, bit of a sleepless night. There was a hell of a lot of work to do on those two cars, especially the Will Davison one, but they got it all up and running and we're good again. The big news this morning though, the full course yellow rules have changed once again. No warning or anything like that. Just in the start of both of the sessions, they had some testing of the full course yellow system, so people could, and cruising along, helmet cam, looking at the dash, and I'm like, they're only doing 80 Ks. Then Neil Crompton comes on and says they're doing 80 Ks, and 25 seconds before you have to slow down. When did this all change? We had it at Sandown, then they changed the rules for Bathurst, and now this has changed once again. Okay, common sense prevailed on the 80K thing, but why 25 seconds to get down to the speed? These are not road cars slowing down from 300 Ks to 80 Ks. These are race cars. You don't need 25 seconds to slow down, but at least it does mean that you're kind of crawling around, so the whole idea, the marshals can get out. So that's all I'm going to say on that one for now. I'll cover off the Super 2 day first. Kai Allen, yesterday, it was crushed headers that were causing the issue on the car. They did change over the headers on the car, left the same engine in, but there was no front roll bar. I don't think he ended up qualifying last. Aaron Cameron was on pole with Brad Vaughan very close behind. Cameron won the start and led Vaughan into turn one with Gray following very closely. Cameron kind of just then drove away what seemed like a very easy win for him. He wasn't headed. It was pretty straightforward by the looks. Even with the safety car periods, he still took a pretty good win. Kai Allen hit the wall there very early on during the race, ripped a wheel out of the car. Yeah, so the guy who was just dominating the championship is now back in third in the championship. So, Zach Bates and Aaron Cameron have overtaken him in the championship, so it will go down to the wire in Adelaide with the fight. There was a bit of Super 2 going full Super 2 during the race, but yeah, as I said, it was a fairly straightforward win up front. Cameron and, a bit of a gap back to Vaughan. Ryland Gray ended up taking the round win though because, consistency. No one else really had a consistent weekend by the look of things. So even, Job Stewart, who was dominant yesterday, he had a couple of lockups and ended up having a puncher during that race. So he came nowhere. And Aaron Cameron obviously had his power steering problems yesterday. So everyone was just up and all, and Kai Allen was just down all weekend. So congratulations, Ryland Gray, not even 18, taking Super 2 win. Now for the Supercars, we had 2 practice sessions this morning. Earlier on today. It's been a long day. Practice 5, it was co-driver session. Ojeda was the first one to go off. He locked up and put it in at turn 1, actually bumped the fence. I think probably because he couldn't decide whether he was going to try and continue on the circuit and fight the gravel trap, say, or if he was going to go down the escape road, and kind of went in the middle. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually hit that barrier there where it was. It wasn't too bad, but did bend up the front a little bit. After that, you could tell that the session was very, very quiet because you had Larko trying to show pictures on his phone of the DJR car getting rebuilt during the middle of the night, and then Scafie and Crompton egging him on to show the photo for longer while they were trying to rig him from the booth, and then Scafie finding that the funniest thing in the world. It was race running with co-drivers. It was a very, very straightforward session. Murray was the fastest fastest in that session, no surprises, because he was a main driver in a co-driver session. Moffat and Ojeda were second and third. Jordan Boys, I think he got a nosebleed having that 96 car so high up in the field. He was fourth at the end of the day. The two MSR cars were the slowest. I think they might have been on orders. Do not scratch these cars in this session. Just go out and do a long run. No mistakes, please. Practice 6 was an all-in affair with D'Alberto, the first one to run off at turn 1. It was very similar to the Ojeda one from earlier, but instead he just buried it in the sand and no damage to the car, just a bit of a bruised ego. Jackson Evans then copied him later on in the session. He seemed to go in harder and got buried further in the sand, but yeah, still no damage on that. Then the only big incident for the session, Aaron Love coming into the cutting, did his best Scott Pye impersonation, I suppose. Yeah, but the difference with that was, like, it looked like a lot of damage, but I think it was all just cosmetic. Like, it tore the back end off the car, but it didn't seem to get any of the actual structure. I could be wrong, but it looked like it just kind of ripped off the rear bumper, the boot lid, the wing kind of thing, where there's not actually that much in that section of the car. So that's probably why it looked a lot worse the way he kind of dragged it up the wall. Very, very hard session to judge, because you've got some guys that went out there doing top 10 simulations, like Brodie went out early in the session. Some of the other guys were going out late. Did they do a whole lap and things like that? And then you had basically all the other guys, except for Randall, who seemed to do a top 10 simulation run, I think, to help Waters. All the other guys just kind of cruising around, doing race running, getting everything ready. So a very, very hard session to judge in the end. Feeney was fastest, followed by Stanaway and LeBrock. Yeah, and Randall ended up fourth there, surprisingly, well, because he kind of did a top 10 shootout simulation as well. Now, for one of the best sessions of the year, the top 10 shootout at Bathurst. Richie was the first man off out of the blocks, and yeah, what a lap. He, yeah, his fastest lap of the weekend, set the pace. Everyone else was having a really, really good crack though. Yeah, everyone getting really close to the walls. The only real mistake all session was Heimgartner locking it into turn 1 and running through the gravel trap. Even then, it wasn't too bad a mistake. He did continue. He was kind of, I think it was 7 seconds off the pace in the end. But it took until Brodie coming out, who was the fourth last, to actually beat Stanaway's time. That's how strong that lap time was in the end. Fastest lap of the weekend, which was, of course, going to be very hard to beat. Feeney came out. I was expecting Feeney to be, right on this. He couldn't beat it. Waters was the next, Waters on for pole. No, he couldn't beat it. Payne came out. I wasn't holding as much hope for Payne. I think I'd even said yesterday I wasn't, even though he was fastest, I was probably expecting the other three to battle it out for pole. Payne couldn't beat it either, not helped by touching the wall. So Brodie on pole for the race tomorrow. The grid will be Brodie Kostecki, Cam Waters on the front row with him. He was so close yet so far. Feeney and Stanaway on row 2, Brown and the Brock row 3, Payne Di Pasquale on row 4, and Mossert and Heimgartner round out the top 10. Tomorrow, my predictions for the race. Of course, it's very hard to look past the Triple Eight cars, but I'm going to. I honestly think the fight, just judging how everyone's gone about their weekend and everything, I honestly think the fight will be between Kostecki Hazelwood, Payne and Tander, and Waters Moffat. I was probably a bit critical about the Moffat coming into the weekend. He's actually looked really strong in the co-driver sessions. He doesn't seem to have done anything wrong. He seems pretty pacey. I think they're going to be in the fight with the Triple Eight guys just behind. I don't know why. I just don't think they're going to be battling it out for this win. My Smokies in the race, Reynolds and Luff. Luff's always great at Bathurst, and Reynolds, that car, He's had a couple of issues putting it in the wall and that, but he has looked fast all weekend. And Golding and Russell are the other ones to keep an eye on. Dave Russell is just like the golden child around Bathurst, it seems. And Jimmy always steps it up Bathurst on race day. I don't think Walkinshaw and Andretti United is going to be in the fight. Having said all that, there's probably about 15 combinations in the field who could take the win if everything goes their way. And I think it's going to be one of those days. All the incidents we've seen over the weekend, I think we're going to have plenty of safety cars during the day. I think at least one of the top guys is going to duff it in the wall and be out of contention. If there's going to be a Smokey take the win, this I think is going to be the year, because I think it's just going to be one of those jumbled up days, and you might even get a situation where like a Bryce Fullwood has just had their final stop and then someone puts it in the wall and they somehow, come out of the pit sequence in the lead and are able to hold that lead, because it's so close. The fight is really on. But if I had to put money on it, Kostecki and Hazelwood, I think, are going to be very hard to beat. Hazelwood's essentially a main driver. Kostecki's looked good all weekend. I think they've been very focused on their plan. They haven't been really going for the highlights until they've had to, and they've shone in the sessions where they've had to. So, one more sleep. Everyone get a good night's sleep, and it's exciting. Bathurst tomorrow. So there won't be a review tomorrow night. It will be out Tuesday morning like normal. Give me a bit of time to calm down after the race and do a proper review. So keep an eye out for that when it's out. But just enjoy the race. Until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.